Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the SmackDown review. SmackDown tonight was from the Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas, and we are only 2 weeks away from SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in Jersey, which the build to SummerSlam has been pretty decent in my opinion. WWE is doing everything they could to make SummerSlam pretty good, decent show. It's going to be 2 nights, the first 2 nights SummerSlam. And SmackDown tonight, this was an awful show in my opinion. It was boring. It was pretty much basically a one-match show. And that was the Fatal 4-Way Number One Contenders Tag Team match. And you also had Cody Rhodes and John Cena contract signed for SummerSlam, which was the end segment of the show. But we also had Charlotte Flair. She ended up taking on Raquel Rodriguez. We had Damian Priest. He ended up taking on Carmelo Hayes. And Stephanie Vaquer was in action, even though she is a Raw superstar. She ended up taking on Alba Fyre of the Secret Service. And we also had other stuff with Jacob Fatu and Sol Sikoa, where Sol Sikoa ended up having Jacob Fatu, taken by the police, and pretty much Sol Sikoa framing Jacob Fatu, which I will get to explaining. But overall, SmackDown, awful show tonight. Absolutely boring, in my opinion. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, did a movie review of Body Parts from 1991, which stars Jeff Fahey. So if you haven't checked out my review of that, definitely give it a watch. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. SmackDown opened up tonight in the parking lot of the Bank Center. And we saw the MFT. They have gone into a car crash with somebody. So pretty much Adam Pearce was out there. Adam Pearce was filling in for Nick Aldis. And he was, out there trying to, see what was going on. So we saw, all that. And then we had the first match of the night. Charlotte Flair versus Raquel Rodriguez. Before the match got underway, we saw Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. This was done earlier in the day, where they were talking about losing the match at Evolution. Charlotte ended up revealing to Alexa Bliss that she went to Adam Pearce, and she had given her and Alexa Bliss a title match at SummerSlam. So Charlotte ended up saying to Alexa that she has a match later on, that she has a match against Raquel Rodriguez. So pretty much that was basically that. Charlotte Flair was just wearing a "I'm not anybody's friend" shirt. And then we had the match, Charlotte Flair versus Raquel Rodriguez, which this was an okay matchup here. Although WWE is pretty much doing their job in getting fans to cheer for Charlotte, by putting Alexa Bliss with her. That's the only reason why Charlotte Flair is getting over, because WWE paired up Alexa Bliss with her. They want everybody to root for Charlotte Flair. Was I rooting for Charlotte? No. So the match got underway. Raquel ended up getting the upper hand on Charlotte with some strikes. Charlotte ended up sending Raquel to the outside. And then automatically, it went right to commercial. Too many commercials that we got during SmackDown tonight. And of course, since Raquel Rodriguez had the match with Charlotte, we had Roxanne Perez out there. And of course, Alexa Bliss for Charlotte. So as SmackDown came back from the commercial, Charlotte was fighting out of the corner, and she ended up laying in some chops to Raquel. Charlotte ended up taking Raquel down to the canvas. She then ended up sending Raquel to the corner. Charlotte was sent up for a crossbody onto Raquel, and Raquel rolled through, and she ended up laying a slam to Charlotte. She ended up going for the cover, to which Charlotte kicked out. Raquel ended up bringing Charlotte back up to her feet. Charlotte came back, and she delivered a boot to Raquel. Charlotte ended up going for the figure four, but Roxanne Perez hopped up on the ring apron, and she distracted Charlotte. And the ref was focusing on Roxanne, and that allowed Alexa Bliss to attack Raquel Rodriguez on the top rope. This led to Charlotte end up rolling Raquel up after she delivered a thrust kick to Raquel. So there you go. Charlotte Flair ended up winning the match. Overall, match was okay, in my opinion. And then we had the San Antonio police backstage, and they ended up asking Adam Pearce to help look for Jacob Fatu. So the cops end up telling Adam Pearce, there was 3 men cops there. They end up telling Adam Pearce that they have some questions for Jacob Fatu about the crash that took place earlier today, as what we saw when SmackDown opened up tonight. So they found Jacob Fatu, and we had Jacob Fatu leaving with the cops because Fatu was resisting, with the cops at first. Adam Pearce just shook his head at the situation, and then SmackDown went to commercial. So pretty much that was basically that. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had a video package highlighting the Women's Championship match with Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. So, of course, we're going to be getting that at SummerSlam. Although, we're going to have Stratton, work over Jade in the match. And then we had Damian Priest. Damian Priest was looking for Aleister Black. This was early in the day, as we saw what happened last week when it was R-Truth versus Aleister Black. And Damian Priest tried to call Aleister Black down. And, backstage, Aleister Black ended up laying out Damian Priest. So Damian Priest was looking for Aleister Black, and we saw Carmelo Hayes there. And I'm like, finally, they found Carmelo Hayes. So Carmelo Hayes ended up saying that he warned Damian Priest about Aleister Black. But Priest ended up insisting that he's going to make Black beg for forgiveness. So Damian Priest ended up offering a match to Carmelo Hayes. Hayes ended up saying to Damian Priest that he's been looking for an opportunity like this. Priest ended up saying to Carmelo Hayes that he hopes he keeps that energy for the match. And then pretty much that was basically that. And as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had Damian Priest versus Carmelo Hayes. And this was, decent in my opinion. Decent match. So, before the bell even rang, Carmelo Hayes ended up jumping on Damian Priest. So, he started beating Damian Priest down, and he was calling for the ref to get the match started. So, The bell ended up ringing. We had Carmelo Hayes end up going to work back on Damian Priest in the corner. Priest ended up stopping Carmelo Hayes. Hayes ended up hitting the ropes. He ended up running into a big boot by Damian Priest. Priest ended up sending Carmelo Hayes to the ropes. He ended up delivering a kick to Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes ended up leaving the ring. Priest followed Carmelo Hayes to the outside. He ended up getting sent into the ring post by Carmelo Hayes. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Carmelo Hayes was in control of the match. So both guys were back in the ring. We had Carmelo Hayes end up running down Damian Priest. Priest came back and he started laying it into Carmelo Hayes. Hayes ended up catching Priest with a cutter off the ropes. So we had Carmelo Hayes trying to do Shawn Michaels there because, of course, it's in Shawn Michaels' hometown of San Antonio, where pretty much he was trying to do a Sweet Chin music to Damian Priest because he was tuning up the band. When Shawn Michaels was, tuning up the band, he would, stomp his foot and then lay out the Sweet Chin music. So Carmelo Hayes was trying to do that. And he got caught with a boot by Damian Priest. So Carmelo Hayes started to fight back. He was sent up for the La Mystica, but Priest ended up countering that. Carmelo Hayes headed to the corner to go after Damian Priest. Carmelo Hayes ended up countering a Staff of Heaven into a code breaker. And then Carmelo Hayes ended up going up to the top turnbuckle. He delivered a splash to Priest. He ended up going for the cover, and Priest ended up kicking out. So Carmelo Hayes ended up going for a dive to Priest, but he got caught by Priest. Priest ended up slamming Carmelo Hayes onto the commentary table. Priest then brought Carmelo Hayes back to the ring, and he did his, Undertaker with his old school. He did a rope walk, and then Aleister Black ended up appearing, and he knocked Damian Priest off the rope. The ref called for the bell, so Damian Priest won the match by disqualification. Post-match, Carmelo Hayes opted to leave the ring. He wanted nothing to do with Aleister Black. So Aleister Black delivered a black mask to Damian Priest. He then sat down beside Priest. He kept saying to Priest, "I heard you're looking for me." And pretty much that was basically that. Aleister Black comes out there with a black suit, which the suit fitted Aleister Black pretty good. But overall, the match was decent between Priest and Carmelo Hayes. At least Carmelo Hayes got TV time. So then we had the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six end up delivering a message about stripping their foes in the Street Profits of their wicked desires. They end up offering to be a guide to those who follow. So it was a pretty, good promo from the Wyatt Six, where they're like, "Oh, whoever wins the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team number 1 Contenders match, they are ready." But last week we saw Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis of the Wyatt Six. They ended up defeating the Street Profits to become the new tag team champions. And then as SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had Sol Sikoa and the MFT. Him, JC Mateo, and Talatanga. They made their way down to the ring. Sol Sikoa had a mic in hand. He kept talking about tonight proving what kind of man Jacob Fatu really is, saying that Jacob Fatu only cares about himself. Sikoa then talked about bringing Jacob Fatu to WWE and helping him feed his family, and how Fatu deserves none of it. He ended up saying that Fatu betrayed the only real family he has. And Sikoa ended up saying that he should have known. He ended up saying, once a criminal, always a criminal. So then we saw on the screen Jimmy Uso was awaiting the arrival of a police car. Jacob Fatu stepped out of the police car. And the cop ended up telling Jacob Fatu that they determined, based on the footage of the accident, that he is not the person of interest. And that Fatu was free to go. So Fatu was like, stupid cops. So Jacob Fatu made his way through gorilla position. He headed straight down the ramp to the ring. Jimmy Uso ended up catching the MFT by surprise. Fatu ended up coming into the ring. We saw Tonga end up trying to take out Jimmy Uso. He ended up taking a dive through the ropes by Fatu. Tonga ended up rising back to his feet. And we had Jimmy Uso and Jacob Fatu end up landing some kicks, which led to a crossbody by Jimmy Uso to send Tonga to the floor. Jacob Fatu ended up getting back to the ring. Jimmy ended up stopping Sikoa to bring him back in the ring for a thrust kick. Jacob Fatu ended up sending a chair up around Sol Sikoa's neck in the corner. But he was then cut off by Jason Mateo. So Tonga ended up bringing Sol Sikoa out of the ring. Jason Mateo and Tonga ended up taking a splash and a moonsault by Jimmy and Jacob Fatu. So Fatu ended up grabbing the chair to slam it against the back of Jason Mateo and Tonga. So then Adam Pearce ended up coming out. He came out to address Sol Sikoa's actions. He helped let Sol Sikoa know that he will defend the United States Championship against Jacob Fatu at SummerSlam, and that the match will be inside of a steel cage. So that's pretty awesome. We're going to get Jacob Fatu and Sol Sikoa in a steel cage for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. So Adam Pearce then ended up calling for the police. He ended up saying to the police that Sol Sikoa is all yours. So it seems, that we have the person of interest in Sol Sikoa. Sol Sikoa tried to frame Jacob Fatu, and the cops thinking that Fatu was the one that caused the accident. But of course, Sol Sikoa was the one that set up Jacob Fatu. So the cops end up bringing Sol Sikoa up the ramp in handcuffs. Tonga was arguing with the cops, and pretty much that was basically that. But it should be a good match at SummerSlam with Sol Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And then we had Stephanie Vaquer versus Alba Fyre. Stephanie Vaquer, I don't know why she was on SmackDown tonight when she is a Raw superstar. But she took on Alba Fyre of the Secret Service, and this was a quick match here. Stephanie Vaquer won the match, and she delivered the SVB on Alba Fyre. We also saw the Devil's Kiss, to which I laughed when Wade Barrett on commentary was like, oh! He was excited to see the Devil's Kiss. Imagine putting Booker T and Wade Barrett to do commentary for a Stephanie Vaquer match. It would be hilarious with the both of them, because they all love when Stephanie Vaquer does the Devil's Kiss to her opponents. So Stephanie Vaquer won the match. Post-match, Piper Niven ended up coming into the ring. Vaquer ended up sending Piper Niven out of the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. Quick match this was. Nothing great happened in this match. Easy win for Stephanie Vaquer. And then we saw the Street Profits with B-Fab. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins end up addressing them losing to the Wyatt Six last week on SmackDown. They end up saying that they're keeping a close eye on the situation. So DIY, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, they end up mocking the Profits for losing and forcing them to save the SmackDown Tag Team division. So pretty much that was basically that. And then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship No. 1 Contenders match. Andrade and Rey Fenix versus Fraxiom, Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. This was the only good match of the show. And like I said, this was a one-match show. This one match was this match, the No. 1 Contenders match. It was very good from these teams. A lot of great back and forth action. So Nathan Frazier and Chris Sabin started off the match. They were trading offense. We had Andrade and Fenix end up coming in. Fraxiom end up taking out the Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City Machine Guns came back. They ended up sending Fraxiom out of the ring for a baseball slide on DIY on the outside. Chris Sabin ended up hitting a dive through the ropes. He ended up taking Fraxiom and DIY to the floor. So then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Alex Shelley ended up taking down Gargano and Ciampa. Axiom ended up taking himself in. Nathan Frazier ended up running in for a tag. They ended up clearing the ring. We had Axiom end up coming back in. And they ended up going for a cover, to which Ciampa ended up kicking out. Andrade ended up coming running in. Fenix ended up catching the tag. And we had Andrade and Rey Fenix end up taking control. We had Andrade end up doing the Three Amigos, which was cool. So, the end of the match, we had Andrade and Rey Fenix ended up winning the match, where Fenix ended up taking Gargano back out of the ring, and which that allowed Andrade to take Ciampa down with a DDT. So, there you go. Andrade and Rey Fenix are your new No. 1 Contenders. They're going to face the Wyatt Six next week on SmackDown for the Tag Team Championship. And I like that they went with Andrade and Rey Fenix, because DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they got many shots for the tag team titles. Fraxiom, their potential to have, a tag team championship match at some point. Motor City Machine Guns already were the tag team champions. So it made sense to go with Andrade and Rey Fenix. They're a new pairing. But very much looking forward to the match next week. And then we had the Cody Rhodes and John Cena contract signing for the Undisputed WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Adam Pearce was in the ring, and he ended up introducing Cody Rhodes. Cody got a big pop from the crowd there. He had the contract in hand, and Cody got into the ring, and he took a quick moment to sign the contract, so he wasted no time signing the contract and getting it over with. He then took the mic, and he did his whole shtick, where he asked San Antonio, "What do you want to talk about?" Cody ended up saying that he appreciates the warm reception. He ended up bringing up the fact that his father and his brother, of course, Dustin Rhodes, in AEW, new TNT champion. He ended up saying that they both are Texans. He have known that he got the opportunity to become the undisputed WWE champion. He kept bringing up the idea of not flinching, stating that he didn't flinch when he returned to the company or on a number of occasions since. He kept saying that he did flinch at WrestleMania this year against John Cena. Cody kept saying that he understands the inevitable task of trying to take the title away from one of the most beloved wrestlers in the history of our game. He kept saying that it is the task given to him for SummerSlam. Cody kept saying that it takes two for this dance to work. He kept asking Adam Pearce to help move this along. So Adam Pearce then obliged to Cody, and Adam Pearce ended up introducing the undisputed WWE champion, John Cena. So John Cena made his way out. We got chants of John Cena sucks. So he made his way down the ramp. Cena came into the ring. He called for his music to be cut. He kept asking Cody to take a seat. So Cena ended up sitting down. Cena ended up saying that before he signs the contract, he ended up saying that he has bad news for everyone. He ended up saying that he's not going to be at SummerSlam, and that he is filming a Netflix movie. Cena ended up saying due to exhaustion involved, it is best for him that he is not physically cleared to compete at SummerSlam. So Cena tried to explain his situation further. He was telling Cody, oh, how about we have the match at Clash in Paris or something? He ended up saying that if he puts his name down, he has to be at SummerSlam. Cena ended up saying right now, physically and emotionally, he can only give the fans so much. Cena then thanked the fans for their understanding. He ended up saying that he promises Cody that he'll get his rematch, but it won't be at SummerSlam. So Cena ended up leaving the ring. Cody then ended up cutting him off. Cody got out of the ring, and he started throwing some rights to Cena. He ended up throwing Cena into the ring post. Cena started to fight back. He ended up sending Cody into the steel steps. Cena then ended up sending Cody into the ring. He ended up grabbing the undisputed WWE Championship from the ramp. Cena got back into the ring, and he was trying to hit Cody with the title. So Cena ended up missing, hitting Cody with the title. Cody ducked, and that allowed Cody to hit Cena in his midsection. And when Cody ended up hitting Cena in his midsection, the title ended up getting into Cody's hands. So we had Cody end up hitting Cena with the title, and he then ended up putting Cena on the table. So we had Cody end up going up to the top. He ended up driving Cena through the table. He then grabbed Cena's hand. He put the marker in Cena's hand, and Cody ended up forcing Cena to sign the contract. So Cody ended up saying to Cena that their match at SummerSlam for the undisputed WWE Championship will be a street fight. So that was that. That was how SmackDown went off the air. Overall, this contract signing, I was entertained by it. They gave it a whole old school feel here with John Cena as a heel, which I thought was good. You know, of Cena saying, oh, I won't be at SummerSlam because I'm filming a Netflix movie in New York. So I'm sorry to everybody. So I liked how the way they portrayed Cena here. But very good contract sign-in. Really liked it. And looking forward to the match at SummerSlam, with it being a street fight. Hopefully the match will be better than their match that they had at WrestleMania. But overall, SmackDown, awful show tonight. very boring. In my opinion, it was a one-match show with that Fatal 4-Way Number One Contenders match. But anyway, that's it for my review of tonight's SmackDown. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and be sure to check out my previous video, my movie review of Body Parts if you haven't seen it. And I'll see you all later.